Yes, good evening, friends. Welcome to the session once again. We'll wait for some more learners to join in. After that, we will continue. We'll wait for a minute or two, and after that, we will continue. As you know, today the topic of discussion is Oceanography, Session 8 or the Part 8. We will try to complete the session here today. From tomorrow, we will start a new chapter, that is biogeography. Okay. From tomorrow, we will start a new session, that is biogeography session. Clear? We'll wait for some more learners to join in. After that, we will continue. As we wait for some more learners, let me share some good information, good news from the Unacademy platform. Yesterday was the last date of getting this Resolve 2022 discount of 22% on Plus Compo and Iconic Compo course. But because of popular demand, it has been extended till 5th. That is, you have time till tomorrow. You can use my code, that is SUNEP10 to avail this particular discount, that is 22%. That's a huge amount of discount. Okay, if you are going for a 3-year course, then you are getting a discount in the form of 22 to 34,000. Okay, anyways, your prelims is just around the corner. Prelims 2022 is there in the month of June. Keeping this in mind, Unacademy platform has come up with this comprehensive best course on GS, okay, which is starting tomorrow, that is 5th of January. So you kindly subscribe to this, like Mission 2022, Lakshya, Expedition 2023. If in your roadmap you are planning to sit for 2023, still you can join this course. One very important part of this course is, if you are going for a 1 year and above subscription, you will get access to 20 GS book, which has been exclusively curated for UPSC and all the other important competitive exam in India. Now, if you can catch hold of these 20 GS books, you don't have to go anywhere in search of the material. Therefore, reducing your preparation time. At the same time, your productivity will also increase. Why? Because this 20 book has been designed and curated in such a manner aligning with the latest trend in the UPSC itself. Clear? It is available both in English as well as in Hindi. As you all know, in Unacademy platform, you have this UPSC CSE compact. That is 56 question, that is MCQ in 60 minutes every Sunday at 11 a.m. So this time also, this upcoming Sunday, that is 9th of January, we have from 11 a.m. From a pool of scholarship of around 4 crores, you will get this scholarship if you rank within 1 to 500. Depending on your ranking, percentage of scholarship will be determined. You can use my code, that is SUNEP10 to enroll into this particular UPSC CSE compact. Now, you lose nothing, you only gain. See, one is obviously the scholarship that you will get, but another important point is, you see here, UPSC or any other competitive exam is no longer a school, university or your college exam. There is no pass mark. It is a merit-based exam. Therefore, in order to know at what stage of preparation you are, at what level of preparation you are, it is very important to assess oneself. That is self-assessment. Now, all of this combat will be participated by your peer group or the co-aspirant. Therefore, you will get an opportunity to self-assess yourself and also to realize in which particular section you need certain improvement. Okay, just by studying alone, that opportunity you may not be able to get. Okay, but by attending such a MCQ test series, you will be able to do so. Okay, so I strongly recommend you kindly attend. You lose nothing. It is completely free. You can use my code which is in front of you. Clear? With that basic introduction, let us begin our discussion. Yesterday we have ended in our discussion regarding the marine deposit. We have ended with the cosmogeneous deposit. Today we will continue from the division of this marine environment. The entire marine environment can be broadly divided into two. Okay, we are discussing oceanography, keep that in mind. One is the pelagic environment and other is the benthic environment. What is this pelagic environment? The ocean water is known as a pelagic environment. The benthic, in a sense, the ocean bottom. You see here, ocean bottom is not just like a ordinary bottom surface, but in the ocean bottom, say for example, it is a water body, it is ocean, say for example, this is the sea level. Okay, in the ocean bottom, you have these sediments. Ocean deposit sediments we have already discussed. In this huge thick layer of ocean deposit or sediments in the ocean bottom, it has got some ecosystem. You can say a micro ecosystem. And in this particular ocean bottom, there are certain organisms, okay, marine organisms, which thrives or which live in this particular environment. Such kind of environment is known as a benthic environment. Okay, but a water body which is above the ocean floor, standing water, or you can say the water body, excluding the ocean bottom region, it is known as a pelagic environment. Therefore, the pelagic environment is the ocean water, benthic is the ocean bottom region. Pelagic is majority of ocean living organism, especially plant, also for animal. Okay, that is known as pelagic. Neritic region is from the surface till 200 meter below. It is known as a neritic region. We are discussing the division of marine environment. Keep that in mind like this. You see here. This is a neritic region. This is oceanic provinces and zones. This is neritic, this is oceanic. This is this pelagic. Now you see here. This is a pelagic region, this is a benthic region, that is ocean bottom. Under this pelagic, it is further divided into epipelagic, mesopelagic, pelagic, abyssal pelagic. Similarly, the benthic region is further divided into atolls region, in the trench region. Now, another category will be the photic region up to 200 meter approximately. It is the region where the sun insolation is there. That's why it is known as a photic region. Below this, you have this photic area. After that, you have this aphotic region. This intertidal zone, what is the meaning of this intertidal zone? The region between high tide and low tide. Now, sublittoral is known as from the low tide level to 200 meter deep depth is known as a sublittoral region. From a low tide area to a 200 meter deep is known as sublittoral. The term is important. Supralittoral is a transitional region between land and sea is known as supralittoral region. Clear? Now, epipelagic, let us see. From surface till 200 meter below, it is known as epipelagic region. This one, this region. Okay, this is epipelagic. From the sea surface to the 200 meter below, it is known as epipelagic region. In this particular region, you will have this phytoplankton. Why this phytoplankton? Like diadem and zooplankton also you will find. Example, Formulifera, secretes calcium carbonate and radiolurine, which secretes the silica. Now, these diadem are phytoplankton in essence. These are micro plants in the marine environment. It is present in this epipelagic region. Why? Because this plant requires sun insolation for the photosynthesis, and the sun insolation is available here. That's why you will find this diadem. Okay, as the depth increases, there will be no plants, which means less oxygen supply. Why? Because what is the process of photosynthesis? The plant takes the sun insolation, okay, give out oxygen. Therefore, if no plant, then the supply of oxygen will be less. Also, the decomposition of bacterial oxidation will take away the oxygen. Therefore, the more you go deep from the epipelagic region down to mesopelagic, petipelagic, the oxygen level will get reduced. Second is the mesopelagic region. It is from 200 meter to 1000 meter below, it is known as a mesopelagic. What is the important characteristics of this? A dissolved oxygen minimum occurs at a depth of around 700 to 1000 meter below the sea surface, inhibited by usually large and sensitive eyes capable of detecting light levels higher than human can sense. What is the reason for this? The more you go below, from epipelagic to mesopelagic, the light insolation means from the sun insolation is getting reduced. At the same time, the oxygen level is getting reduced. So the marine organisms needs to adapt. So it is in a desert ecosystem, you have this cacti, that is the vegetation, or different types of plants. They develop certain type of adaptive feature. So in this marine environment also, when you go below the sea surface, further down, light is becoming less, oxygen is becoming less. In order to adapt to such an environment, such kind of adaptive measures is developed by this organism. Another important aspect is the light producing organs is also there in the marine organism which habitat in this region. Why? Because you see here, marine environment is not homogeneous environment. Keep this in mind. The broad two classification we have seen, that is the pelagic and the benthic region. Benthic is the bottom dweller, ocean bottom dweller. Even within this pelagic region, it is not like in all of this layer of the ocean that the organism will be uniformly distributed. No, there are certain organisms that live and thrives in the upper region. There are certain organisms which thrives in the middle region. There are certain organisms which thrive only in the bottom region. So depending on the region, the supply of the sunlight and the oxygen will also vary. Even the temperature of the water will vary. Depending on this, different organisms will develop certain type of adaptive feature. And that is how different organisms are identified. Now, in this mesopelagic region, these are the adaptive characteristics. Example, shrimps, squids, some fishes will be found. Vertical migration is another adaptive mechanism. Vertical migration means coming up for light and oxygen, goes down below again. Deep scattering layer you will find lantern fish, example. Petipelagic, from around 1000 to 4000 meter, and apisopelagic, that is still the bottom. They are far away from sunlight and biomass. Oxygen content increases with depth. Okay, why? We have already seen the transfer of nutrient as well as the oxygen from the polar region below. For the bottom circulation means the oxygen, everything get replenished from the higher latitude, which we have already seen in the previous session. Okay, example organism, anglerfish, small and have proportionately enormous mouth lined with sharp teeth. This is some of the important adaptive mechanism which has been developed by organism which is dwelling at this particular region. Okay, because availability of the food is also less, therefore the organism that live here in this bottom have this proportionately enormous mouth lined with sharp teeth. Now, that is a pelagic environment. Let us go and see the benthic environment, that is living in sea floor or in the sediments which I have just mentioned to you. Conditions: organic matter, organic rich mud, etc. Except in active reaches, organic matter is available in the ocean floor, and because of the availability of organic matter, there are certain organisms which can live in this ocean floor. That is nothing but the benthic environment. Okay, stable bottom, that is high energy coastal sands are not suitable for benthic plants. Okay, for the benthic organism, the region, the ocean bottom should be stable. So in a region where you have a high energy coastal sand, where the ocean bottom is not stable, you will not find. Okay, distribution of this benthic life, plants are found in shallow coastal areas in the nearshore zone, while animals at all the depth. I am not explaining, the statement is self-explanatory. Seaweed, epifauna, what is this? On the surface of the seafloor, either attached to rock or moving over the bottom, is known as epifauna. Infauna live buried in the sand and mud. Nectopendos, what are those? What are they? Both bottom and move around through the water. Clear? That is the marine environment. Okay. Quick recap. Pelagic environment, benthic environment. We have seen what is pelagic environment, what is the benthic environment. Clear? Now, let us go to another important section of oceanography, that is coral. Coral and coral reefs. The picture which is in front of you, kindly go through. It is such an amazing picture, very awesome, right? Excluding the fish, the structure that you see, it is nothing but a coral reef. And what are they? They are nothing but the accumulation and compaction of skeletons of lime-secreting organism known as coral polyps. Okay, accumulation and compaction of what? Skeletons of lime-secreting organism known as coral polyps. The coral polyps, okay, secrete certain lime. Accumulation and compaction of those results in the formation of a structure, that is the coral reef. It is also known as the rainforest of the ocean. There is a symbiotic relationship between the coral and the coral polyps. Mutualism, it is known as. You see here, it is like this. It is the structure, it is the diagram of a coral polyps. The coral polyps has a tentacles like this, has a mouth like this. Okay. Now, these coral polyps secrete lime, results in the formation of the house or the dwellings known as the coral reef. There is a symbiotic relationship between coral and coral polyps. Okay. Now, in all the places, ocean of the world, you will not find coral. Coral, the growth of these coral polyps, there is a specific conditions. When these specific conditions are met, only in those locations, coral polyps and also the coral reef will be present. If you go and see the distribution of these coral reefs, it is confined in certain regions only. Let me just tell you, the region is in the tropical waters. You will not find coral away from the tropical waters. There are exceptions in 1-2 places which we will discuss later. But all in general, I can say the coral and the coral polyps you will find in the tropical waters only. The reason is very simple. For the growth of coral and coral polyps, you need certain kind of specific conditions. In locations where that specific condition is met, coral and coral polyps will thrive and you will find coral. What are the conditions? Number 1, the mean annual temperature of the ocean water needs to be around 20 to 21. If it is less than this, if it is greater than this, coral polyps will not survive. So, this particular 20 to 21 degrees centigrade of ocean water you will find in the tropical region only. Away from the tropical region, in the higher tropic region, you will not find. The temperature will be much colder. Therefore, coral is not able to survive. The second, in all the depth of the ocean, you will not find coral. Coral survives only up to certain depth from the sea level. And that is not more than 200 to 200 feet below the sea level or the surface of the ocean water. Why? Why? Because beyond these 200 to 200 feet, there will be a scarcity of sunlight and oxygen. You see here, the coral polyps that I have just shown to you, require sunlight and oxygen. Now, the ultimate source of energy on the Earth's surface is the sun insolation. The sun insolation, when falling down on the ocean water, consider this to be the ocean surface. The sun insolation will not diffuse down right to the bottom of the ocean. Just now we have seen the oceanic environment. We have seen the pelagic. In pelagic environment, we have just seen the photic zone. That is only around 200 meter as sun insolation is able to penetrate. Beyond this level, the sun insolation is absent. Therefore, it is completely darkness below. The coral requires sunlight and oxygen. And also we have seen just now, the phytoplankton, example diadem, is present only in the upper region of the ocean. Why? Because diadem is phytoplankton. It requires sun insolation for photosynthesis. In the process of photosynthesis, this diadem gives out oxygen. Okay. Now, therefore, the presence of sunlight and oxygen is present only up to certain depth. Beyond certain depth, sunlight and oxygen is missing. Therefore, since coral polyps require sunlight and oxygen, in sufficient amount it is found only within 200 to 200 feet below the ocean surface. So this is the next important condition for the formation or the growth of coral polyps. Number 3, the water should be clean, sediment-free water. The reason is very simple. This is a coral polyps, the mouth is here. If the water is full of sediments, the mouth of the coral polyps will get choked. Therefore, finally, it will die down. Therefore, the water should be sediments-free water, clean sediments-free water. Number 4, salinity should be around 27 to 30 parts per thousand. Very high saline water contain less of calcium carbonate, and calcium carbonate is required for the housing of this coral reef. Number 5 important condition is ocean current and wave should be present. In a very enclosed region, coral polyps will die. Why? Because ocean current and ocean wave, during its movement from one region to the other, it is not only the actual transport of the water itself, but it carries nutrient, oxygen, different nutrient gases, which means replenishing the resources. You can consider in that manner. If any water body is enclosed, it is connected, but if it is like this, say for example, this is land area, this is a ocean water area. But if it is enclosed like this in this region, here, even if all of this condition is satisfied, even then a coral polyps or the coral reef will not develop. The reason is very simple. It is away from the actual ocean circulation in the form of ocean current and wave, thereby replenishing with oxygen, nutrient and all is not possible in this enclosed region. The sixth important conditions for the growth of coral polyps is the presence of submarine platform. What is the meaning of this submarine platform? You see here, just now under this condition 2, we have already seen that the coral and coral polyps will not survive beyond 200 and 200 feet below the ocean surface, which means the coral cannot start building the coral reef or the housing from the water itself. It needs a stable platform. And if there is no stable platform, if all the condition number 1 to 5 is satisfied, if you don't have a stable platform, then the growth of coral polyps will not be possible. Therefore, within this 200 to 250 feet from the surface of the water, you need a stable platform, which is known as a submarine platform. If you have such a platform, what will happen? The coral polyps will start to develop, grow, and finally grow into a full-blown coral reef. Clear? So, it is not like if one condition is met, if the other conditions is not satisfied, the growth of coral polyps will take place. All the important conditions needs to be satisfied. Means all the conditions right from number 1 to number 6 needs to be satisfied. Only then there will be a growth and distribution of coral and coral reef. Clear? Gautam, good evening and welcome to the session once again. Welcome. If you have any doubt regarding any section, you can always interrupt me. Now, in this YouTube session, the only way of communication that we can do is with this live chat box below. Okay, so you can interrupt me. Okay, you see here I have in Unacademy platform, I have special classes for Indian geography, as well as I have class subscription course. If you want to learn more in detail, you can always come and join me there. Clear? Chalo, let us continue. Types of coral reef. Fringing reef, that is one. That is, fringing reef is like this. Whether it is the formation of the coral reef can be around a continental or it can be island margin. Okay. Seaward slope is steep, usually attached to land, but exception is a port channel. It is like this. Kindly follow. Okay, it is either along the continent or along an island. Now, say for example, this is the ocean surface. This is a land area. This land area can be a continent as well as it can be an island. The development of this coral reef like this, it is known as fringing reef. It is well attached to the land area like this. See, this is land, this is sea level, you can say, or the ocean surface. Okay, now, but there is an exception. Sometimes this fringing reef will have certain locations here which is where you will not find coral. Coral will grow a little bit away from the land. So there is no complete attachment. This is known as a port channel, but that is an exception only. Clear? Second type, the barrier reef. There is a compulsory shallow lagoon, that is the water body between the coastal land and the barrier reef. That is, example, here suppose I have the land area. This is a barrier reef. In between this barrier reef and this land, there is a shallow lagoon, water body. Such type of a coral reef is known as barrier reef. If I give you a site profile, it will be like this. This is the land area. Okay, this is the sea level. The barrier reef will be like this. Okay, this is the barrier reef. You have a lagoon between the land area and the barrier reef. The site profile of a fringing reef will be, this is the land area. The fringing reef will be like this. This is the sea level, completely attached to the land area. Exception being the port channel. Atoll, that is the narrow growing coral found around an island or a submarine platform, is known as atoll, like this. Now, there are 2-3 important terms regarding atoll which you need to know. It is very, very important as far as your prelims is concerned. True atoll, island atoll, atoll island. They are different. In a sense, in true atoll, you have enclosing a shallow lagoon, but no island like this. Island atoll is presence of an island. If there is an island here, it becomes island atoll. Atoll island or coral island is initially absent. The island is initially absent but develops later. That is known as atoll island or coral island. Clear? There are 2-3 important theories regarding the origin of this coral reef. Okay, let me tell you in very, very brief. The first one is subsidence theory of Darwin. Means how this coral reef and atoll has been formed, okay, the process, okay, the process and the reasoning. One of the most important theory or the initial theory given for the explanation of origin of this coral reef is given by Darwin, Charles Darwin. Okay, he is of the opinion that the coral grows only in the shallow water. In the artificially, in a sense, Gautam, kindly go ahead. Artificially, in a sense, we can grow coral reef artificially. That's what you want to say? Artificially, in a sense that we can grow anyway, I will wait for you. I will just continue with the discussion. You can okay, you can ask me. Anyways, in the conditions of the coral reef or the coral polyps, the growth of artificially, see, but in what scale? That is important. Okay, in what scale? Artificially you can grow, you can say in a lab settings and all, but in what scale? See, you can mimic. Okay, you can mimic. Yes, utility may not be there. Okay, but you can mimic. You see here, subsidence theory of Darwin. Number one, that is coral grows only in shallow water. Under our condition of this growth of coral polyps, we have already seen that a coral reef cannot be grown in all the depth. It is grown only up to a certain depth. Now, according to this subsidence theory of Darwin, what he considered was in a submergence landform. Okay, under our discussion in geomorphology, we have already seen the landforms. Some will be the immersion landform, some will be the submergence landform, which means some landform will come up from the sea level, some landforms will subside below. It all happens because of the tectonic activity or endogenetic force. There are different types of endogenetic force: plate movement, okay, upliftment, subduction, we have already seen. But according to this subsidence theory of Darwin, he is of the opinion that any kind of coral reef formation happens on a subsiding landform. Okay, which means, say for example, this particular, kindly follow the pointer. Okay, kindly follow the pointer. This particular landform, the sea level earlier was at this particular location. Sea level, kindly keep this in mind, sea level. So in the geological past, the sea level was here. Now, when the sea level was here, we have just seen the fringing reef, the characteristics of a fringing reef. What is the characteristics of fringing reef? It will form around the land area. It can be an island, it can be a continental land, but there is a complete attachment to the land area. So like this, complete attachment, you will develop this fringing reef. Now, this particular land mass will subside below. Okay, so the present sea level, the sea level was here, and since this landform is subsiding below, the sea level will rise relatively. So now, when the sea level becomes here now, earlier it was at this place, now it has come to this. Let me number it 1 and 2 here. When the sea level comes to this level 2, and this change of this sea level is because of the subsidence of this landform. In real, in absolute term, I can say the sea level is stable, but it is the land mass which is subsiding below. Because the land mass is going below, there is a relative or apparent increase in the sea level. Now, based on this fringing reef, the coral reefs will start to grow like this. The coral reef the coral polyps and the coral reef will start to grow like this. Keeping this fringing reef as the base will grow like this, and the land is subsiding further. Therefore, finally, it will result in the formation of a barrier reef, The characteristics of the barrier reef we have seen. There is a shallow lagoon between the land and the reef. So a barrier reef is developed. Whenever now this landmass is continuously subsiding below, therefore apparent increase in the sea level. Remember, mark the word. I am not saying the absolute increase in the sea level. It is the apparent increase in the sea level, which means sea level is remaining same, but changes because of the land is subsiding below. Therefore, number 3, let me mark this as number 3. Finally, it will turn into atoll. So, according to this subsidence theory of Darwin, what he is saying is, the formation of coral reef happens in stage. First, it will be the fringing reef. So, whenever a fringing reef develops around a land area, in all the locations, a fringing reef will only be there. And when this land subsides below, when there is a barrier reef around this land mass, in all of the side, there will be a barrier reef only. Similarly, when there is an atoll, in all the side, there will be atoll. Means stages, evolution. Clear? Now, but there is a criticism to this subsidence theory of Darwin. First, let us see some evidence. That is the shallowness of lagoon, thickness increases downward, immersion land devoid of coral reef. These are the evidence in support of Darwin's subsidence theory of coral reef formation. Evidence number 1, shallowness of the lagoon. Let us see. The lagoon which is developed, it is shallow. Why? Because you see here, land is subsiding below. But at the same time, the dead coral sedimentation is happening. Therefore, the shallowness of the lagoon. Second, from this, if I go to the side, the depth of the coral reef increases. Which means you see here, the depth of coral reef will increase. Why? Because the land is subsiding below. So that is also acting as a evidence. But there is a limitations. What is the limitations? One of the main limitations of subsidence theory of Darwin is, according to Darwin, you see here, if there is a fringing reef on this side, then according to Darwin, in all the side there must be a fringing reef. If there is a barrier reef, all the side barrier reef should be there. But in real, what you observe is, if you have a land area like this, in one side you will have fringing reef, in other side you may have a barrier reef. That is also found. If you go across the world and examine the barrier reef, it is found in one side of the land, in the same level, in the same depth. In one side you have this fringing reef, on the other side you have this barrier reef. Now, how do you explain that? By the subsidence theory of Darwin. According to subsidence theory of Darwin, in all the side, if there is fringing reef, it should be fringing reef only. If it is barrier reef, it should be barrier reef only. But in actual, you find in the same depth, on one side you will have fringing reef, on other side you will have a barrier reef. Then how a subsidence theory of Darwin can explain this? That was one of the main limitations of this Darwin's theory of subsidence in the formation of coral. Clear? The second important theory, in order to correct this limitation of Darwin's subsidence theory, came the second theory, that is the standstill theory. Now, standstill theory also has some limitations. In order to correct that, another theory comes into being, that is the glacial control theory of Delhi. Clear? So these are and after this you have this plate tectonics and all. But these are the three major theory in explanation in the formation of this coral reef. Okay. We'll end the session here today. We will continue tomorrow. But you see here, as per the schedule, tomorrow I will be starting with a new chapter, that is biogeography. Okay. But you don't have to worry regarding this continuation of this. What is standstill theory of Murray? Okay. Glacial control theory of Delhi, and also there are many important points that we need to discuss still under this oceanography. That is the tides, marine resources. Okay, so we will require another 4 or 5 sessions okay, that we will require, but don't worry, I will take up later. But tomorrow, as per the schedule, because the topic of the discussion will be biogeography, so even if I wanted to continue, there will be certain kind of mismatch in the topics, and also the points that we will be discussing, okay, in the session. Therefore, in order to keep in alignment with the topic and also the point that we are discussing, I will start with biogeography, but don't worry, later on I will take up this session, okay, standstill theory of Murray, and we will continue. There are some important points regarding oceanography also. We will discuss later, okay, after the finishing of this biogeography and all, we will discuss, we will continue. You don't worry, I am giving you a personal guarantee. I will start with oceanography part 9. Okay, today's part 8. I will continue with part 9. Not tomorrow, later. Tomorrow I will continue with biogeography. There will be certain kind of interruption in your preparation. Why? Because see, we still have to discuss this standstill theory like this, which is a direct continuation of the Darwin's subsidence theory. So there may be certain kind of a break, but you don't worry. Rest assured, 100% guarantee, I will provide the explanation. Okay. But anyway, thank you so much. We'll end the session here today. Thank you for being. You see here, I have a Telegram channel that is name is All About Geography. Invite link is t.me/SUNEP10. Okay, you can join here. Okay, and I have a WhatsApp number. You can take that, 9978352242. Okay, you can text me here, WhatsApp, send me a WhatsApp message. Kindly mention your name. Okay. Clear? Clear? Chalo, anyway, thank you so much for your patience and cooperations. We will meet again tomorrow with another chapter. Okay, and rest assured, let me tell you once again, oceanography, I promise I will continue. Okay, later. Chalo, anyway, bye bye and